Hey, what's up, good people? It's Jazz. Man, it's been a minute since we've been on and popping. I am so grateful to be on with you on this beautiful, beautiful day. I believe it is a hump day. It is Wednesday, October the 8th here in 2025, the year of 2025. And I want to say thank you so much for your patience and just being patient with a creative person like myself. I was recently was diagnosed with levels of ADHD and autism about a year and a half ago, and understand that autism is on a spectrum, right? And so there are different levels even to ADHD, but true, I am that girl that likes to have my hands in a lot of things and does my best to get a lot of things accomplished. And at the same time, I'm very particular and anal about certain things. So thank you guys for being super patient with me. I am so glad to be back. I would like to make a disclaimer with you all. There is a little bit of a lag. There may be a light lag here and there with the internet, but I want you to stay close and stay hopeful behind the scenes because this is pre recorded. Some of it is going to be edited, but just act like it's live and in popping and in action. However, if you do happen to have some problems with hearing what's going on or what's happening, please be sure to message me or email me. And you can email me at executivejazz@gmail.com or Miss Jazz Ballinger at gmail.com. And I really need to change that now that I'm seeing that ticker go on and off. I would like to make that adjustment right about now. But um, I want to be able to give some pivotal house cleaning rules while we are at it. One of the cleaning rules is this: we will not be rude to the people, we will not be rude to the host, myself, Jazz. You can have your opinion, you can have your thought process, all of that. You're welcome to share in the comments. But this is a show, Jazz TV show is all about levels of life, love, and liberty. And when it comes down to life, we want to give more life because a lot of people are trying to unalive themselves. We want to give levels of liberty because people are trying to get rid of our freedom of speech and levels of liberty in this area of USA. And then also love. Love is a choice, and I want you to choose love. Love is kind, it is patient, it is long suffering. And however, when it comes down to people being rude, um, disoriented in their speech or comments or whatever, we will use the block button because that is an aspect of love. Love also has boundaries. We understand that love has boundaries, okay? So therefore, life, love, and levels of liberty, we will have boundaries. We will operate in levels of integrity, dignity, and self-respect. And if you cannot contain yourselves, please exit stage left, right, both of them are open. Okay. I just wanted to get back on here, get back on track. And first of all, let's get straight to the point. I want to say how I am absolutely thrilled for the interview that Carlos King had with Matthew One Knowles. I think that was the most iconic, um, pivotal interview that I have ever seen with Matthew Knowles. It was very impactful to watch and to hear from the conversation between Carlos and the way he set his questions and the way Matthew was open and willing to share. And he also kind of curved that conversation too. But it was done in a way that did not seem like an interview. Okay, it wasn't even. Seemed like it went into like that, when you're getting ready to talk to someone that you've never met before, or you are anticipating meeting, and you have those little jitters. Like I could feel like that tension of trying to, like, their spirits trying to settle with one another and really receive one another. And then all of a sudden you start hearing that good conversation, really starting to feel comfortable. And then it shifted where Matthew began to share, okay, let's turn the curve in this conversation, this interview. And then all of a sudden it did feel like a documentary. It was like MTV unsung, where they all in one videos. Like, all I could think of was the days of coming home or weekends when you're waiting to watch Oprah or your favorite interviewer interview some heavy hitters. For your information, Matthew Knowles is a heavy hitter. And if you were someone like me, let me just keep it very honest and very transparent. Someone that has studied music, someone that has studied levels of music from chamber or music theory, jazz, blues, classical, opera, did levels of theater. I'm thinking, that's why I keep turning up. I have done it not only scholastically, but also before I knew myself. I liked creativity. Before I fully, as I was developing myself, I was looking on the back of music CDs and DVDs and cassettes and even albums, even records, because I needed to know who were the brainiacs, who were the masterminds of these artists and these songwriters and these singers, who did the marketing, who were the people that sat down and said, well, we're going to go in this direction. And when I tell you, those platforms, MTV, BET, all of these various platforms, Unsung, that, and Oprah, all of these various persons that gave us those interviews from our favorite artists, it was a re-experiencing that through Carlos King. Carlos, I want to say you did an absolute fantastic job. Now, when I say an absolute fantastic job, I mean you kept your composure, you were your authentic self, you were also hitting and asking the questions that we all wanted to know, and you stood your ground and you kept yourself professional and you honored um, his him as elder, and that was to be recommended. And I absolutely want to give your verbal flowers now and say thank you for this interview. Let me tell you something. When I was 15 years old, 15 or 16 years old, I had to have been in high school. Now, let me be crystal clear. Beyonce grew on me over time. First of all, I always loved Destiny's Child. I love Destiny's Child. I truly love their music. I admired their musicality as a group, their ability to first be trendy, to focus on the independence of women and young girls embracing themselves. I mean, there were groups built out after them. I remember gathering one of my childhood church friends, and we were determined to sing, um, create a group after two different groups, Mary Mary and Destiny's Child. Okay. And as I'm sitting here, I remember us picking out our clothes. I remember them coming to my home and we were rehearsing the parts. I wanted to be Beyonce, but I knew I had that alto. So I said, okay, I got to be mezzo soprano. So I got to be Kelly, or, I got to be Kelly in this situation. And then I knew my other childhood friend at the time. She had that strong soprano, so she had to be the Beyonce. But when I tell you, those memories stick out to let me know that that's how much of an impact that Destiny's Child had on my life. Number two, when I would go to my friend's home and they were invited me over, they would sleep on um, Destiny's Child, the the hit album when it was Michelle, Kelly, and Beyonce. I don't know why I had a block. I think I'm going to perimenopause, but anyway, neither here or there. Some vitamins would do, but I remember the song that we constantly slept on because, and when I mean sleep on, meaning it was playing on repeat in the background because we were determined that these boyfriends of ours or these guys that were interested in us would not distract us at 15, 16 years of age. And that song was "Be Myself and I." It's all I got in the end. That's what I found out. And there ain't no need to cry. Took a vow for now on. I'ma be my own best friend. Me, myself, and God. So we wouldn't say I, we would say God. Me, myself, and I. It's all I got in the end. That's what I found out. And there ain't no need to cry. Out in the now, I'ma be my own best friend. So totally off on key on that, but I know, guys, you get the gist with what we're saying, okay? But that was just the soundtracks of, yes, our lives. It was just girly, it was empowerment, it was that. And to know that Carlos King had the um and yes, I want to give my props to Lisa, to not Lisa Knows, excuse me, God, Lisa Knows is really on my heart right now, but also to Tina Knows. I know she was also a part of this as well. But the interview was about Matthew Knowles. Guys, do you understand? In my research, thank you. In my research, Matthew Knowles was like oh my goodness, was like the Quincy Jones to an era of ours, to 2000s. When I came into knowledge of Beyonce, I think I was, and well, Destiny's Child, it had to have been, so that was 13, 14, so 99, 2000. No, no, no. Because I was, yeah, 99, 2000 or 2002, around about that time. Yeah, 99, 2099. But I remember Matthew Knowles being on Jet magazines, being on Ebony magazines, being in Essence books. And then at one season, at one time, Tina Tilston, she's Tina Jackson now. Oh my goodness, Tina Jackson, Tina Harrison, that's her name. Excuse me. Tina Harrison had a book called Gospel News. No, she had oh my goodness, I forgot the name of that publishing magazine. But Tina Harrison, who is Tina Jackson, she's married to Don Jackson now, who is the president and founder of Stellar Awards in the gospel community, or gospel genre. But Tina Harrison really paved the way of integrating, getting gospel music artists their information, their accolades, giving them the marketing appeal, telling and learning of their stories on in a book, in a magazine form, and it was a great read. But then also you had the mergers and the crossovers really happening, like the Mary Marys and Destiny Childs. You remember Kingdom Come? So that was, Beyonce was in Kingdom Come, the movie. It was a lot of crossover music happening. And Tina Harrison, I remember me reading an article about Matthew Knowles and a little bit about Destiny's Child because they were featured in one of a gospel artist's music, and it was such a the church, not all of the church, and when I say the church, but the gospel community, or the church, the black church experience, had a little bit of a tiff about that and wanted to understand this kind of crossover, this type of the secular and the sacred. And I loved reading about a little bit about Matthew Knowles and Tina Knowles and their mindset about that. Then when you pick up, you get the book, Word Up, Word Up. The last publication I remember of Word Up was when all of the girls, Destiny's Child, all four of them, you have Kelly Rowland, you have Beyonce, you have Latavia, and then you have Lockett, who were in the Latoya, who were in the feature. And they were talking about, each one of them were talking about how they prepare and how it's been a dream for them. And just the nostalgia of it all. Someone just put yourself in the mindset of wanting to know as much as you could about these girls, wanting to know as much as you could, especially if you had a business mind. I was developing, I had always had an entrepreneurial spirit, but I always knew when it came to music, I've always felt like I wanted to be a star. I wanted to be a headliner, but there was something in me that was like, I am drawn to the business side of things. So for me, the business side of things I was gravitated to it. So yes, I was gravitated in learning the mindset, the motivation of Matthew Knowles, and the motivation and mindset of Destiny's Child. And to hear Carlos King really talk about the genesis of Matthew Knowles and how his footing and his good stock really came from, and him even mentioning about the author that is out of Canada that wrote the book The Outliers, who talks about you must give 10,000 hours of your craft, of your time, and what you're into or what you believe in to be great. To hear that level of talk and to read, to learn how he spent time in the library studying. For example, he talked about his career, and in his careers, the initial careers working for um, various companies. And I want you all to really watch the interview. I don't want to spoil the interview. I just want to give you some highlights and really emerge the level of gratefulness of this interview. But he really talked about just how he put in time, how he put in effort, to the same amount of time and effort he put in to get roles for the Fortune 500 companies that he was working for and grow in the corporate world, and then transferring those macro skills over into a business model for the record label that he built and the management company that he also built for the 20 plus years that he served with the girls. I mean, you got to, it's just beautiful. It is absolutely amazing. Um, so I just want to encourage someone, if you are a creative, if you are someone starting out in levels of arts and entertainment and you want to be a journalist, you want to sing, you want to produce, you're wanting to manage others, you truly want to walk in levels of integrity and a mindset of get it done, but also get it right. Watch this interview. This is the interview that we will be going back on to reference. They even said to themselves that this must be a documentary. This has to be a documentary. Matthew, oh, this is what I wanted to talk about. I probably got distracted because my child came in. But when Carlos said that you have not fully gotten the accolades like that of a Clyde Davis, you really have not gotten the accolades like you are on that level of a Quincy Jones. You're on that level of like a mastermind. You're on that level like that. Um, I think that is to be noteworthy, and that is a tried and true that's a tried and true reality check. When you have groups, when you're able to have a group of girls that not only was having hits but made Billboard charts for the year, that is to be honored and achieved. That is the sign of someone who is to be looked upon as the greatest of all time, one of the greats of all time. You cannot just give homage to the person receiving that without giving homage to the back end, the managerial skill set, marketing strategy, the macroisms of mindset, leadership that came with that. So, Matthew knows, kudos to you on this. Carlos, you came out the bag with this one, my dear. You came out the bag with this one. This is the interview that we've always wanted, especially especially with the way the trends are going back to this 90s feel, the way the music is going back to, fashion and trends, they're like a circle, they come back around, but you cannot microwave it. And for you to be able to capture this interview with Matthew Knowles, who even said himself, you cannot microwave processes. You cannot microwave it. You have to cook. He didn't say cook, but I'm gonna put a twist on it. You gotta let it cook. You got to put in the time, the effort, the energy, and the grit and the patience necessary to be the great. And there's such an appreciation. I think that's why it's so timeless for me. This interview is so timeless because there's such an appreciation. We had an unspoken appreciation for Beyoncé, but I think we really had an unspoken appreciation for Matthew Knowles. Like, for real, for real. And I think Carlos was intuitive enough to recognize, even though he himself was all for Matthew and really had that entrepreneurial business mindset of really studying someone that looked like him, being a black man in entertainment, being a black man that wanted to go the route of entertainment. And it just so happens that Matthew Knowles is someone that he really admired and really studied and now has had the opportunity to interview, and they're going to work together. Like, how can, oh my God, that's amazing. Okay. I just really went fast on that. But, you have to really understand the magnitude, the magnitude. And every good story has a villain. To hear Matthew talk about how when the girls went to Star Search, or Beyonce went to Star Search and she didn't make it, and having to, at some point, their home almost went to foreclosure. This is a family that was already in the well-to-do lifestyle. Before Beyonce became Beyonce, they already were living, their story is not, we were living in poverty. They were already living in a nice home, living in a nice community, living in, going to good schools, private schools. They were already living like that. And so to be able to tell the story from the lens of that place and still talk about certain pain points that he and his family experienced, was necessary to get that perspective so that an audience will understand that every climb does not always start from a bottom place of lack. Every climb does have a bottom, and that bottom is a first start. That bottom is getting in the mud. That bottom is, going through the trenches. You know what I mean? So I think that was a very good reality check, because how many of you have heard storylines where how many of you have heard storylines where, people are starting literally from the bottom, like no financial support, no contacts, well, I would like to say for Matthew, he did say that he spent hours and hours in the library. He's a big researcher, and so he went back to school to even study music. He went back to school to study business. He would go to the library and do the research necessary in order for him to learn the business of music. I heard it like this, and I want to shed some light. Once upon a time, I was a vocal coach, and I took some of the trainings and the teachings that I learned in my grade school year, junior and high school years, performing arts schools, and also in college years in performing arts. And I truly think I put out hours and hours in music, truly. But one of the things I taught my um, vocal students at a time, I said, music is 90% mental and 10% vocal. And then if you want to be a star, if you wanting to take your songwriting or your vocal ability up, you got to understand you got to outlove music. What do I mean by that? Music will not love you back. You can love music, but music will not love you back. Music will not love you back until you fully understand and get a grips on the business capacity of music industry. And it doesn't matter what level of how high you want your success in music to be or what that high may look like, you got to understand that yes, numbers is necessary. Yes, you want an audience, you want consistency, but understand you can have the greatest dream to sing and the greatest dream to perform. But if you don't put the time into practice and build the vocal muscle, the writing muscle, the ear muscle, the training that is necessary to be the great, it will eat you alive. And I want to say, Matthew Knowles, thank you for allowing Carlos King to come into your home, you and Gina Knowles' home, to be interviewed because a creative muse as myself, one that considers myself as a music recording artist, one that considers myself a songwriter, and one that truly appreciates the artistry of other artists and the business of music, the business and marketing of music. I want to say thank you for sitting with Carlos. Carlos, this interview was immaculate and amazing. You did an outstanding job, and kudos to you. I want to tell everyone, go watch the Carlos King plus Matthew Knowles interview, which is like a documentary. When I tell you this is, you gonna want to eat this up. I'm just telling you right now. I was making potato salad and chips and chicken with barbecue sauce, feeding three different children with my phone pressed up against the shelf. I had to hear this. I did not, I went back and forth to touch the skip button. You know how you press the skip button on your YouTube? I went back and forth to press the skip button between each plate I was making in the kitchen. That's how good this was. Oh my goodness. I am looking forward to the amazing partnership and collaboration that they are going to do in the future. And whatever happens, hey, much success. We will be right there. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. And thank you for excusing my children in the background in this particular live. And you know what's up? Be sure to stay tuned to more Jazz TV show. We are back in live and popping this 2025 year. Also, I want to remind you all that it is imperative that you all remember to um, have more life, more love, and more levels of liberty in your world. If you would like to be a guest or sponsor the Jazz TV show, I like for you to go to M7GCAgency at gmail.com. That's M7GCAgency at gmail.com. And even right now, I'm going to go ahead and put up here the correct the correct information, because some of you have even asked about how can you give, and let's do that right now. Also, if you would like to um, be a part of our Patreon community, we're going to put that in the description. There are some exclusive interviews, some exclusive conversations. I have one coming up even now about aspects of clarity and transparency that you all have been wondering and waiting for a very long time, darling. And so that's going to be in the Patreon, and I look forward to sharing you all more with that. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Be sure to subscribe and like Official Jazz TV Show. And also be sure to tell a friend about this broadcast. Thank you. You all take care and much peace. Mwah, 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 mwah. Much peace, everybody. Have an amazing day. And remember, this is the best day yet. The best day yet. All right. Bye.